Good evening and welcome to eNews. I'm Shahan Ramkisoon. It's great to have you with us. Our top stories tonight.
Nobody can go and work in China without a degree.
A stern warning for potential travelers to China as Tristan Lee Niemand arrives home after being detained for 1 month over visa issues. As holidaymakers continue to flock to KwaZulu-Natal beaches, taxi bosses are joining the cause to reduce accidents on the roads. Home at last. A South African woman who was detained by Chinese authorities over problems with her visa has landed at OR Tambo International Airport. Tristan Lee Niemand went to China to teach English, only to be tricked by a dodgy recruitment agency. Kayalihle Khumalo reports.
The nightmare is over. Tristan Lee Niemand has described how she and a group of South Africans were apprehended after a recruitment agency failed to convert their study visas into work visas.
We went to the hospital, they took us for a health check, and I was so confused, I didn't know why we were going for this health check. They were just saying, don't worry, don't worry. And then we left the hospital, we went to this detention house. I just saw these big walls and I was like, what is this place? Where am I? What am I doing? We went inside, we signed this paper and said you're going to be in here for 1 month.
The experience was traumatic.
I was very disappointed, especially because I was promised a work permit. And then obviously I didn't even get a salary. I haven't got a salary because I was there for 1 month. And when the police caught us was the day that we were getting our salary and the police cut our cards.
Earlier this year, 51 South African teachers arrived home from China after they too were hoodwinked in a similar way. Niemand's father is just happy that she's home.
Having your daughter detained like that and not having contact with her, it can wreak havoc on a family emotionally. But I'm just so pleased that everyone, eventually got together and sorted it out.
The spokesperson for the 51 teachers has issued this warning.
Public needs to understand is nobody can go and work in China without a degree. Not on a tourist visa, not on a student visa. It doesn't matter what the agent on that side tells you, it is illegal.
Over 800 South African nationals are currently languishing in foreign jails, and more than 100 are locked up in China for various offences, including immigration rules violations. Kayalihle Khumalo, Kempton Park.
KwaZulu-Natal law enforcement officials are taking no chances as thousands of holidaymakers are still making their way to the province. Over 1.4 million visitors are expected to visit KwaZulu-Natal. Authorities are keeping an eye on both beaches and public transport. Tuba Vilane has more.
The taxi industry is not known for its good safety record. But to make sure passengers arrive safely at their destinations, taxi bosses are now also rolling up their sleeves, inspecting each and every vehicle leaving the taxi ranks.
It's part of our duty to make sure that all the vehicles are in a good condition, all the defects. We do check even the overloading, and we also speak to the drivers to behave on the road, not to overspeed, and to make sure that they do not play a loud music.
And while thousands are leaving the city of Durban, others are still streaming in. Hundreds of Metro Police officers and private security personnel are being deployed in the city. And on the beach, lifeguards are ready to respond quickly if needed. So far, they have carried out around 23 rescues.
I must say and commend our lifeguards and everyone that is involved, especially in the management of the safety of our bathers and patrons here. Unlike maybe in the years gone by, up until now, this period, we have only had one person who disappeared on the 15th of December.
And with Christmas and New Year's looming, officials are vowing to double down on safety campaigns to make sure the season remains festive. Tuba Vilane, Durban.
Now, the law is catching up with drunk motorists with the introduction of a new and improved breathalyzer test. Johannesburg's Metro Police Department, together with the SAPS, arrested 13 people in a roadblock in Woodmead. Nobile Madlala has the details.
The city of Joburg recently revealed that over 800 drunk driving arrests were made in November alone. Under 10% of all cases are prosecuted. But how many drinks does it take to land yourself in jail?
0.24 is no more than one drink, whether it is a dot of spirit liquor, one glass of wine, or one beer. If anyone drinks any more than one drink, there is a possibility that it will be more than 0.24.
The new breathalyzer will help speed up prosecution.
We can now use this evidential breath alcohol test breathalyzer, which can now be used as evidence in court because approval was given by the Director of Public Prosecutions on the 13th of December that the Gauteng area, which is Johannesburg, can use this new machine.
It's at roadblocks like these that the e-bet machine is implemented. SAPS, together with JMPD, have started utilizing the technology. This is an attempt to fight the drunken driving scourge that is currently facing Johannesburg. The Minister of Transport has already expressed his concern over the high number of human errors on the road. There's been a big increase in the road fatalities in the first half of the month.
A total of 767 fatalities have been recorded so far in this festive period, which is a 16% increase on the previous period.
As a result, the minister is considering beefing up law enforcement on the road.
Specific interventions going forward will include the following. 1. Intensification of law enforcement operations on key traveling dates with a specific focus on speeding, drunken driving and the wearing of seatbelts.
Officials will be working tirelessly this festive season to ensure the safety of all. Nobile Madlala, Johannesburg.
Airbnb seems to be putting huge strain on the traditional hospitality industry in Port Elizabeth. Nelson Mandela Bay Tourism is recording a marked decrease in the number of bookings from out-of-towners. And a local business forum says there's been a 20% drop at hotels and guest houses compared to the same time last year. Sandy McCowan has the details.
Sun and sand. The friendly city has much to offer visitors in December. For years, hotels and guest houses have been packed to capacity. But no longer. It seems the lucrative Airbnb business is taking over. It's prompting tourism authorities to call for regulation, mirroring steps taken in many European cities.
And at a legislative level, a big discussions taking place within the industry as to how best we can bring the Airbnb operators into the formal sector, understanding that all operators at a hospitality level has to conform either to standards or to SARS legislation as well.
On average, most bed and breakfasts and hotels are reported to be about 70% full. But Airbnb host Samantha Flack is experiencing a bumper season. Her establishment is fully booked.
In terms of regulation, I think that from point of view, you have to ensure that the place you're operating from is zoned.
But tourism in the Bay is facing other pressures too. Tough economic times and a shorter season due to a change in the school calendar.
It actually always worries us. If we lose one tourist, it worries us because when it comes to tourism, they count this number of tourists is equal to one job created and then a boost in our economy. So we get worried if ever our numbers are going down.
For now, the Metro says it's concentrating on ensuring beaches are clean and safe so those who are holidaying here will return. Sandy McCowan, Port Elizabeth.
It's been 7 months since a hailstorm severely damaged homes in Kanyamazane in Mpumalanga. And now many residents are being told they'll have to wait even longer for help. Lindo Kulu reports.
They are desperate for assistance, but hope is running out. Government promises to fix all homes damaged during a hailstorm have come to a knot.
I'm feeling sad, distressed about our government. They are letting us down.
54-year-old Sydney Mdwawe, who's living with a disability, is one of those still waiting. The Mpumalanga Department of Human Settlements blames national government. It says only those in dire need can be helped. The rest will simply have to be patient.
Whilst we are waiting for positive feedback, we'll still continue to ensure that we focus on the badly damaged houses so that every day everyone gets to be sorted. As for the difference, the 1,000 or so, we'll see as time progresses. Whether we get the budget or not, we'll see how to attend to them. So far, the department has spent 65 million rand fixing homes, but it needs another 54 million to restore the rest. Lindokuhle Xulu, Kanyamazane, Nelspruit.
Coming up after the break, a partial U.S. government shutdown is in effect after U.S. lawmakers failed to break a budget impasse. Welcome back. The prevention of HIV and sexually transmitted infections among adolescents remains a concern for Zimbabwean authorities. It's exacerbated by, among other things, a lack of youth-friendly services. Leanne Jansen reports from Zimbabwe.
Before the start of MSF's interventions here in 2015, adolescents were virtually left to their own devices with little to no sexual and reproductive healthcare facilities available to them. These youths have all volunteered to improve the health of their peers. They're part of a peer-led healthcare model in Harare's Mbare area. 22-year-old Yolanda Munyengwa is one of them.
Some of the adolescents, they cannot come by their own selves. They need someone to mobilize them. They're afraid, some of the adolescents, they're afraid to come on themselves because there's stigma and discrimination in the community. So if you mobilize them, then you empower them so that they can come on themselves to stand by themselves.
What we know from this catchment group in Mbare is that they start to experiment early with sex, and they're all extremely vulnerable because they don't have a tailor-fitted program that can cater to them and explain them the dangers. And I don't think we can stop this kind of behavior. We can have opinions about it, but it will happen. So that means that the healthcare system needs to adopt a model, adolescent-friendly model that really can give these kids a safe space to sit down and they can get the health education that they need.
This adolescent clinic built by MSF opened last month. It stems from a call from the area's adolescents for a bigger space in which to interact. Leanne Jansen, Mbare, Zimbabwe.
U.S. President Donald Trump says a partial shutdown of the government will hopefully end soon. Republican senators failed to get the votes needed to approve a funding measure that included $5 billion for a wall at the Mexican border, fiercely opposed by the Democrats. Trump posted this video on his Twitter account.
Going to have a shutdown. There's nothing we can do about that because we need the Democrats to give us their votes. Let's get out, let's work together, let's be bipartisan, and let's get it done. The shutdown hopefully will not last long. Thank you very much. Our great country must have border security. We don't want people coming in that aren't supposed to be here. We want people to come in through a legal process.
At least 13 people have been killed and scores of others wounded in a car bomb attack near the president's residence in the Somali capital. A second explosion followed nearby a short while later. Witnesses say they saw at least 2 bodies after that blast. Authorities say the death toll may rise. Militant group Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for both incidents. It's carried out several attacks in Somalia and neighboring countries. It wants to topple the Somali government and impose a strict version of Islamic law. After the break, your weather details, and then this, a fine show for horse enthusiasts in Kyalami.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for a quick check of your Sunday's weather conditions, and we are expecting the day to start off cloudy with light rain over parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape's Wild Coast. And while those areas will start clearing into the afternoon, thunderstorms will once again return to the eastern interior of South Africa. For the central parts, it's going to be another very hot and dry day with a heat wave in effect for the northwest, the Free State, as well as parts of the Northern Cape. And then by tomorrow night, we'll once again see a little bit of rain returning to parts of KwaZulu-Natal. Let's take a look at the city forecast, and in the Northern Cape, it's going to be incredibly hot for some areas. Uppington, Prieska and Kimberley all getting to about 40 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. And it's also going to be a particularly hot day for the interior of the Western Cape, where many places reach the mid-30s. A few thunderstorms possible for the interior of the Eastern Cape, but it's going to be a very warm and dry day for PE, 28 as your high. Morning and evening rain possible for parts of KwaZulu-Natal, and in the afternoon we also foresee a couple of thunderstorms. Thunder showers likely for Mpumalanga. There is a 60% chance for eMakhazeni as well as Ermelo. And while it should stay dry for Musina in the northern parts of Limpopo, other areas in this province could see a few thunder showers. Thunderstorms also possible for parts of the northwest, but it's going to be an incredibly hot day for this province, with dry weather continuing for Vryburg as well as Bloemhof. The Free State, unfortunately, also mostly dry as that heat persists in the area. Bloemfontein with a maximum of 38 degrees, and it will be uncomfortably hot on Sunday for Gauteng, but hopefully experiencing a few thunder showers. Those should bring a bit of relief from those high temperatures as well. Taking a look at Monday's weather, and we see the heat continuing for the interior of the country. Thunderstorms once again in the eastern parts, as well as morning drizzle along the southern coastline. And then on Christmas Day, it will be dry over the Cape provinces. There will be a few thunderstorms in the east, but those temperatures climb even higher into Gauteng. That's all from the Weather Centre. Goodbye for now.
And hold your horses. Enthusiasts have been treated to a time with some world-famous stallions. The Lipizana Horses Christmas Show is taking place in Kyalami this weekend. Yanka Tolme went along.
Known for their noble physique, graceful movements and ability to learn, these South African Lipizanas have mesmerized both young and old with a perfect Christmas music rhythm. The impressive animals are part of about 4,000 of their kind registered across the world. And while the mares play an integral part in the preservation of this ancient breed, it's only the stallions that actually perform.
So it's traditional to use only the stallions for performance riding, and only the stallions are traditionally schooled for classical dressage. The mares are kept for breeding, or they're shown in the carriage, or what is traditionally called the fiacre. But the mares are equally capable, if not more capable, than some of the stallions to perform all the high school movements. But we stick to the traditions as set out by the Spanish Riding School in Vienna and as continued for over 450 years now.
The talented horses are owned by the South African Lipizanas as a non-profit organization, but they are allocated to riders and supported financially by interested enthusiasts. The show will go on tour to Port Elizabeth next week. Yanka Tolme, Kyalami.
Here's a reminder of your top stories before we go.
Nobody can go and work in China without a degree.
A stern warning for potential travelers to China as Tristan Lee Nimant arrives home after being detained for 1 month over visa issues. As holidaymakers continue to flock to KwaZulu-Natal beaches, taxi bosses are joining the cause to reduce accidents on the roads. From me, Shahan Ramkisoon, and the rest of the team, good night.